right. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly Podcast. Here in the throes of April. We got a 90-degree April day that we're broadcasting from. And before we get into it, though, we'd like to thank our podcast sponsor, Flemke Insurance Agency. Thank you to Ben Flemke and his staff. Go out and recruit, basically, for you and make sure that the exact right policy for your home, auto, life, business, everything like that is squared away and does all the legwork for you. So sit back and just basically sign your name on the best deal.
Yep.
That's nice and easy. So thank you, Flemke Insurance Agency. I'm going to turn it over right away because Mr. Freestyle Greco director Gabe Hovden, Coach Gabe, on my right, your left, has some results from our first tournament.
Yeah, our first tournament, we had 4 Owatonna kids show up or go to it. First of all, Donoven Sorenson dominated the tournament. I couldn't tell you if the kids he was wrestling were first-year wrestlers or 10th-year wrestlers or what. He hit his throw-by so fast, it got on top and just went to work. They didn't, because freestyle, you don't stand up, you present. Right. So there was no escapes. They're not trying to escape. They're just trying to stay on their belly. And I want to say tech-falled everybody within a minute. All 3 matches with a high gut on some, and then he did a feet to back, which is 3 points, and then a couple high guts, and he just dominated.
All right.
It was really well. He took first. Then Ethan Schubert, he ended up in third.
Okay.
He hasn't wrestled freestyle in a while. One of his matches was a little hard on him. He got taken from his feet to his back pretty hard one time. Got up, kept going though. He got himself a win.
They're both cadets still, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. They're both cadets. And then Max Flemke ended up in fourth. I believe that might have been his first freestyle tournament.
Sounds about right.
So he showed up. It was good for him to go. He scored points.
That's good.
So, and then freestyle's a learning experience. And
right.
And in my sight of everything is, I honestly don't care if they win or lose. It's mat time.
Right.
It's progressing, getting better at it. It's learning the moves. It's just more mat time, getting better at wrestling. Mm-hmm. So winning, losing, these are open tournaments, and even the refs, the USA refs were outstanding this weekend. I seen refs go up to kids that got beat, telling them, hey, when you're down in the bottom position, you need to do this, this, and this. They're helping and coaching the kids after the match.
Oh, wow.
So that and they came up to Miles. We'll talk about him in a second, but he came up to him and said, hey, on that he was doing some kind of underhook from the top, and the ref said, hey, if you just push that elbow forward, because it was on the backside to me, so I couldn't see it. He goes,
sure.
All you had to do is push that elbow forward, and you would have had your points. So, after the match, he came up, and then Miles got a really good compliment from one of the refs, too, for being how good of a sport he is.
Oh,
and
nice.
how respectful he was. I was like, well, thank you, sir. So it made me feel good that our kids the refs are seeing our sportsmanship, even in freestyle, which there is no reason to get, in my opinion, no reason to get mad about losing or be arrogant if you win. Everybody's learning. So, and then Miles ended up in second place.
Okay.
His last match was, from what I gathered, was his practice partner on his Sunday practices that he goes to up at, I think it's Minnesota Elite.
Elite, yeah.
Yep. And it was his practice partner, and I think if Miles didn't know the kid, I think it would have been a better match.
Sure.
So we got a little work on that. But his other 2 matches, he went out. He did a power double on one of his kids and upended him. Got the 3 points, feet to back. He got, I think, 3 3-point moves, or no, 4-point moves, 3 4-point moves, and then he tech-falled his first 2 guys. So, and then lost his last one in the championship. But them 4 did really good, and I'm hoping this Friday we have Greco in Apple Valley.
Oh, okay.
At the Apple Valley High School now. So we were in Eastview in Apple Valley. Now it's the Apple Valley tournament. Friday night is Greco, and Saturday is freestyle. So after this tournament, the tournaments start getting farther and farther away for us.
Yeah.
So any of you wrestlers are out there, this would be the tournament to go and if you want to just hit one tournament, try it out. This would be the tournament. It's close.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that was our weekend.
That's awesome. Well, and I want to quick let the listeners know, if you hear Crazy Train right now in the background, that is not just a voice in your head. We got the Owatonna High School track team lifting up in the strength and conditioning room right now. So just letting you know. But no, that's awesome. And, for most of those kids, I mean, Miles being the youngest one as a 7th grader, probably the most experienced freestyle Greco kid you got.
Yep.
So that's cool. But no, it's great to see, some people really trying it out. I had no idea. Ethan Schubert, and Max Flemke and these guys.
They showed up. I was surprised. I did send out an email saying, okay, who's on their way up? Because I have left my house. I just don't want to drive up there. And all of a sudden, I'm just sitting there and there's no Owatonna kids there because there's really no way. I mean, they have to pre-register. So if they don't, they're out there $17. That's all they're out. So sometimes they just don't get out of bed.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And big room going right now. And no, that'll be exciting. The more we have going out, the more we have going to tournaments. And I know it's fun to keep tabs on them. Last night I was at the first track meet of the year for the kids. And so we had Blake Fitcher, Grant Lauer, these guys throwing. Okay. So I watched them do discus and stuff, some of our bigger boys, and they're definitely hitting the weights hard, so that's awesome.
Okay. How anybody running?
Jack is probably our best long distance runner. So our 145 pounder, sophomore Jack Sorenson honestly has a really good shot at D1 track and cross country. Okay. So, wrestling's just a side gig he happens to be great at as well. So, Yep. But so no, it was a good time, and Isabel Townley's a pole vaulter, so a lot of familiar faces out there, and that's always good to see. And got to chum it up with former head wrestling coach Cliff Castile. His son was pole vaulting yesterday, so
and is he still over at Faribault? Okay.
Yep. All done with wrestlers though. So this youngest one doesn't want anything to do with it, but it's good to see him, good to catch up and everything like that. So, So another huge event this upcoming Sunday, we have the Owatonna Wrestling Banquet. Notice I didn't say high school banquet. Notice I didn't say middle school. This is the Owatonna Wrestling Banquet. Yes, we are doing awards there for the high school team, the middle school team, everything like that. But we really want this to be a celebration in general of Owatonna wrestling and have the community show up. We want to see a lot of familiar faces. And especially with something, we were just talking with our upcoming guest before this, we have a lot of big changes. We have the new wrestling room coming in and stuff like that. So we're going to be reaching out to the Owatonna wrestling community quite a bit over the next year, 2 years, specifically about the transition and what it looks like for the new high school, but also take everybody down memory lane. We have some big stuff teed up that we can get into, kind of down the road. But once again, this Sunday, 4 to 7 at the Owatonna Eagles Club. It's $15. All proceeds go directly towards throwing this banquet. And I got this question a few times when I was at the track meet. Yes, anyone can come. So grandparents or just fans of the program, people who may not have been, involved in recent years, whatever, we welcome you back with open arms. So look forward to seeing a lot of people there.
Alumni, anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have our esteemed guest for this week. Speaking of alumni for Owatonna Wrestling. So, take care. All right. Well, welcome back to the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly Podcast. Coach Johnson here, along with Coach Gabe. And between us, we have Owatonna Wrestling alumni Kenny Seykora. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So Seykora is it's an understatement to call it a big name in Owatonna Wrestling. And so where do you fit into the family tree?
Long time ago. It would have, my brother Ronnie wrestled, but he didn't care for it and dropped out. My brother Chuck wrestled. He went to state as a senior. That would have been in 72. I would have fell into 77. But 72 would have been my cousin Tony Seykora,
Okay.
professor at the U. And Dale would have been a 73 grad. So at one time, Tony wrestled 38, Dale wrestled 45, and Chuck wrestled 54.
Jeez.
So that would have been fun to have been a part of.
Yeah.
And then my younger brother, Dave Ribbit, as we call him, he would have been an 82 grad. That's Charlie's dad.
Charlie's dad,
Okay.
Dave. Okay. Of Dave and Sue Seykora.
And then Clint, it'd be Brian, Scott, and Clint are Dale's sons. So.
Okay.
So how are you related to Dale?
First cousin, our
First
dads
cousin.
were brothers.
Dads were brothers. Okay. Okay, because
Dale lives on my father's home place.
okay,
So,
because Dale and Tony are my wife's step uncles. So my father-in-law is Dean Seykora.
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I just talked to Dean today.
So it's all wraps into this whole wrestling family keeps growing more.
I
Right.
just spoke with Dean. We both work at the same place, so
Oh, okay.
I spoke with Dean. He has
Like 6,
2
7
weeks
yeah,
left.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
jeez.
he's
He's gonna
retiring.
retire. so
Yeah.
Good for him.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. So yeah, I mean, you just rattled off a lot of good wrestling in there, all the way down to now Charlie with this generation. But of course, I wrestled with Clint. You wrestled with Scott and Brian.
Scott and Brian, yep.
Yeah, they're tough SOBs. I'll tell you that
Yep.
much. Holy cow.
I had all daughters, so I was no help to. I became a gymnastics dad, and that maybe was a good thing.
Sure.
I know how you feel. Yep.
I never had to. But if it would have been in today's day,
It's a
Yeah.
whole
my
different
twins
story.
would have wrestled.
Yep.
The youngest one is not competitive,
Oh, sure.
but the twins were, and I could have taught them plenty of good wrestling.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. So, how about yourself personally? What was your wrestling career about?
And my sophomore year, I was sporadic, mostly on the varsity, but not all the time. Between 55 and 45. And then my junior year, I was the 67-pounder. And they had sub-regions back then. I won the sub-region. And then I won the region, and I lost to the state champion from Mankato West in the semifinals of the state, 2-1 in overtime.
Oh, jeez.
Wrestled about 3/4 of the match with a concussion. I've never had my head driven into the mat. The guy could switch very, very, very good, and I should have known that, but I do now.
Yeah. So he turned the corner so fast, kind of cranked you.
But that's one thing I'm a little jealous about nowadays wrestlers. They get to look back at this stuff. There's not even a still photo of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be fun to look back
See
at.
some pictures and
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Because I don't remember. I remember coming off in overtime and saying to Dick and Marshall, I said, my head. They said, well, why didn't you stop the match? I was busy hanging out.
Yeah.
And I got penalized with about 30 seconds to go for locking hands. And that sent it into overtime.
Oh my gosh.
so he never
you had the
did
state
escape.
champ on the ropes.
No,
Yeah.
he's from Mankato West.
Yeah.
So that was back when the Big Nine and Region 1, when I was a senior, there were 13 people in the finals from Region 1, 2 Region 1 championship matches again. So, I mean,
Jeez.
we completely dominated back then as far as our zone in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, Section 1 used to, I mean, back even up into the 2000s, Section 1 was, I mean, for many, many years was the section.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I think it was 8th grade year. I think there was 4 out of the top 10 teams in the state were all from Section 1.
Yeah.
That was in Apple Valley, Simley.
Oh,
us,
sure.
And let's say Faribault.
And we smoked Apple Valley.
No, did you?
It was their first year as a school, but we still smoked.
Yeah, you got that over.
Any chance you can get that one.
Right? Destroyed Apple Valley. Love that. Love that. No, so as a team, you know, throughout your time, where kind of did you sit in that?
We were
pecking order?
ranked and stayed a few times as a senior, but so was Faribault and so was Albert Lee. And when I was a junior was the first year of the team tournament.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay, so
Of the dual format, because before that it was like college where they scored it that way. Yep.
and Albert Lee won. So
wow.
they went out of our region. Well, the next year, Faribault upset Albert Lee in the finals, and Faribault won. You know, and it was just a seesaw battle.
Okay.
Always for a long time, till Owatonna got dominant.
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah. So back in those, you mentioned Dick Black. What was it like to wrestle for such an iconic coach and such a charismatic? I mean, I love hearing Dick Black stories. How'd you get along with him?
I got along fine with him.
That's good.
But I was, you know, somebody.
I should say I don't hear people say they didn't get along with him, but like there's always something interesting.
He was hard on everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was his way of trying to get the best out of you. Mr. Lindell, he was the eternal optimist.
Sure.
No matter how bad you were getting creamed, Lindell was on your side and encouraging you.
Yeah.
Great coaches. They fed off one another perfectly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Dick Black stories, I like hearing them too, because there's always somebody will say, "Oh, there's this one time with."
One time I was wrestling in a tournament. We were in the city somewhere, and I was getting beat, and I looked over at Dick for some advice, and he's playing with his grandkid. And then I headlocked the guy and pinned him. Then he was happy.
Yeah.
He met me as I was coming off the mat, but he was playing with his grandkid that one day. And I mean, there's plenty of old Dick stories that we'd get snowed in up in the cities. That might have been the time we were snowed in. We stayed at his daughter's places.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Probably a half a dozen of them went to Diane's, and the rest of us piled into Donna's place, and they kept us there till the road was open the next day, and they let us go home. So,
Good.
a lot of fun, a lot of good memories.
So back when you were wrestling, what was your favorite or most dominant move that you did that you just like doing?
Probably from my knees or a wizard or anything. I always like to throw a headlock in, but not how you think of throwing a headlock in, where you tie up and throw it in and try to fight the person to the ground. Get them on their knees, and then there's a point out there where they have no resistance.
Sure.
And if you can get them to go one way, you can almost take their feet off the ground when you take them the other way.
Yeah.
Well, what you just described is what I probably had just showed 2 days ago in freestyle practice.
Yeah.
We call it a sag headlock. It's all just getting them to step.
Yep.
And then they can't stop it.
Because people say, well, you used a headlock, I would roll you through. No, you wouldn't. Because you think we're going this way, but we're going that way. and there's no way to roll a person through on that. It's.
So you're talking you were kind of front headlock-ish position, setting that up, getting that momentum a little bit?
That, and we did more mat wrestling, then I would use a bar arm.
Sure. Okay.
And it might sound real crude. They let us, if you put somebody in a bar arm, it was supposed to hurt.
Yep.
And I've never saw one stop for potentially dangerous.
Right.
Not saying it was right, but that's how it was.
Yep. That didn't start happening until since I've been gone. I didn't know that they stopped. You can't sit out on a double arm bar. Back when I came through, you could still sit out on it, and you sit out and you cranked on it until they put their shoulders down.
Yeah, and then when I headlocked too, I might have cut off the airflow a little bit. But they watch for that stuff. I watch now, and they watch for all the little things we did that might not have been on the up and up.
Yeah, that it seems to be the case, and I like hearing those stories too, because it felt a little bit more, and I talk about violence a lot with my wrestlers in kind of a joking way, but like honestly, like I love hearing those stories because it's a brutal thing. It is it's a martial art. It's an organized fight.
Yeah. Yep.
Where can you go on Friday night and beat somebody up, and all your friends and your mom and dad come and cheer you on?
And they give you a juice box.
Give you an orange.
Yep. I love that. Nice. Well, and do you have, that state, semifinals match sounds like this might be it, but do you have a specific, like, favorite wrestling moment?
I thought about this on the way in, and if I could remember that match, it might be. But the thing that I liked the most was if the meat was on the line and you were about to take the mat, and if you won or pinned, especially if you pinned, then the meat was iced up. Yeah. And that feeling. That was a blast. If you're confident in your ability, I love that.
Now, so that reminds me, weight classes wise, were you saying you were the second highest at 170?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I was about to say because it was for a while there was anyone over 170 was a heavyweight, but I think they changed that before your time then.
I wrestled 180 my senior year, and then dropped to 67 for tournaments.
Okay.
And I think it went to 185 a year or two later.
Okay. Because I know when I came through in the 90s, it was 71, 89 heavyweight, the 275.
But as I was inducting the class of 54 this year, it was funny because I read anybody over, like, it went from 170 to heavyweight.
Oh, jeez.
I know. So kind of a sign of the times, too. But, it was like anybody over 170. Okay, so you weren't necessarily heavyweight where you were.
No.
Okay.
And one time, when I was a junior, we wrestled Winona, and we were getting clobbered, and our 45-pounder, Scotty Warner, pinned his guy with 2 seconds left. Then our 55-pounder, Nordine Ardle, pinned his guy with 2 seconds left in the period. So we put out another guy, not me, at 67. And I went out at 80, although I weighed in at 67, and I beat their 80-pounder, and we won the meet. And, you guys do that all the time? I mean, that's norm now.
Yeah.
You shuffling people around.
Yep.
Why? You'd have thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. The way they talked about it. It's kind of funny when you think about it now, to how you guys juggle the lineup all the time.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I make no bones about it. I'd rather just print out my sheet and say deal with it. But so we'll get there someday to where we're just so dominant we don't care. Yeah. But yeah. Well, nice. And then, so since your wrestling days and everything like that, how have you been involved besides being a fan?
The first couple of years out of high school, I helped out 2-3 years, helped out with the kids. But then I got married young, and I had twins young. My twins graduated in '99.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
yeah.
they're right around you guys' age.
So
What was their names?
Brooke and Brandy.
Oh, my God. I know them. Okay.
Yeah.
Or know of them, but yeah.
Brooke and Brandy, both in Minneapolis. They both work for the Target Corporation.
Yeah.
Bobby lives in town here, and me and Teresa live out in Clinton Falls,
Okay.
the metropolis of Clinton Falls.
And Dave and Sue are out there too, right?
Dave and Sue live on my home place,
Okay.
east of Pratt.
Okay, East of Pratt. Gotcha. Excellent. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, as soon as you go into that parent bubble, as far as their own activities and run you ragged that way, huh?
That, and you got to kind of make money, so
Yeah.
that became a big deal.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we sure appreciate, you mentioned one of the projects we're really going to try to work on is reach out to the community and, any photo, video, anything like that for an example of like your state semis match that, you don't have we're basically kind of putting together a research team and reaching out to the community and trying to get everything we can get archived and basically put up on our YouTube page. So it's easier said than done, but we're going to be having some professionals take whatever format it's in, 8 mil, beta, old VHS, whatever it is. So just know that that's kind of one of the things we're talking about as far as connecting with alumni, so that maybe, who knows, someone has
might
it,
have that photo.
or track it down in some way, because I know. Davis was so good about that and adamant about it and everything. But, before those days, it definitely, we want to try to accumulate as much as possible and make sure everyone has access to it. So, but.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I still like the NCAA weekend, good 15 hours in the recliner.
Especially now with the coverage. I mean,
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous wrestling.
Yeah, it's come a long way, and even the Big Ten Network does a good job putting marquee matches out there every single week, and you can catch up if you missed it on Big Ten Network. So
And then they got that Big Ten in 60.
Yeah,
so you can see the good individual matches, all of them that happen. I like watching that one.
Yep.
To see, okay, let's see the highlights.
Yeah, I know. Although I will say, I got a little upset. Rob didn't make those highlight reels a few times. I'm like, come on, he's number one in the country.
Yep.
But that's great. Well, thank you so much, and thank you to not just you but the entire Seykora family for what you've given to the Owatonna Wrestling Program, both in talent and in support. For decades and decades. It's the last name Seykora is no stranger to this area, but not just because you had a lot of wrestlers, but because you had so many good and hardworking wrestlers. When I think about Guts Club, when I think about putting in the time in the weight room too. I mean, we just had Matt Seykora make the all-state baseball team. I mean, just like the hard work and the Seykora last name are synonymous with each other. So, well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Talk
about yesteryear.
Right. Well, thank you much, and thank you again to the Flemke Insurance Agency for their support of the Owatonna Wrestling Program and this podcast. And so we're wrapping up here.
Would you like to say a shout out to anybody?
Jeez,
I better say hi to my wife, Teresa, or I'll be in.
All right, one more time. I was talking over you. One more time.
Hi, Teresa.
Nice. Yeah, I got to remember that more often. Jeez, thank you.
Yep. That's what I'm here for.
Right. This Sunday, once again, April 16th, Owatonna Eagles Club, 4 to 7 p.m., $15 at the door. We'd love to have you.
And this Friday, Greco in Apple Valley, and Saturday's Freestyle.
Excellent. Thank you much. And yeah, take care, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.